Hey everyone, how's it going? Doug here, and this is a very much impromptu video. I didn't plan this at all, other than maybe 45 minutes ago say I probably ought to do a unboxing of the HyperDeck Studio HD Plus. So you're joining me on an unplanned, impromptu, unscripted journey as I open this and then compare it to the HyperDeck Studio Mini. So thanks everyone for joining. As mentioned, just barely got this new, the HyperDeck Studio HD Plus. One of the products was announced a couple weeks ago. Blackmagic Design, one of their new video recorders from their new HyperDeck Studio lineup. Introduced 4 new recorders. This is the, if you're going from the lowest in terms of features to the highest, this would be the second. So not the least featured, but still more features than the basic model. So anyway, this is kind of a new form factor for them in terms of recorders. They've either traditionally done full 1U rack panels or gone with the 1/3 rack design of the HyperDeck Studio Mini of the past. But this is a little bit new for them. They've done a handful of other half rack units, but this is the first in the recorder lineup. So I should mention that those watching live, I might take a couple of questions as we go, but in reality, I have another meeting that I have to be at in a half hour. So this video is going to be kind of one of my quicker ones for a live. So with that, I'm going to just go ahead and jump in and unbox this thing and clear off my desk a little bit here. Make a little bit of room. So FedEx just dropped this thing off a little over an hour ago. Got it out of the shipping box and then scheduled this video. So I had no idea what time today this was going to arrive. In fact, it was actually supposed to arrive tomorrow, so it came a little earlier than I was expecting. But I actually just barely ordered this 2 days ago. I wasn't sure whether I was gonna need or want one, and so I kind of held off a little bit. But ultimately, I decided, hey, I'll get one. I get one for the people on the channel. So I may or may not use it much. We'll see. I don't know yet. But here it is. So HyperDeck Studio HD Plus. So this is primarily an HD or high definition recorder, but it can also do 4K with some slightly more limited capabilities. Pull this out of the box. So this does have one of Blackmagic's newer box designs. Slightly tweaked from the old ones, but it's not the bright red one like they've done with like the A10 Mini Extreme. So have a little welcome flyer there, and then foam protect it, some feet, and the unit itself, and then of course more foam and some additional paperwork. Where to find the software installer, some stickers, following in Apple's lead there. I really think Blackmagic wants to be Apple. They do a lot of Apple-like things. And then where to get DaVinci Resolve. So yeah. Now we'll take a look at the unit itself, starting on the front panel. We've got 2 slots for SD cards. I'll pop one here in a minute. It's a nice big, those buttons feel good. Nice big buttons there for skipping back and forth between different video files, record, selecting an input, rewind, play, fast forward, stop, and then buttons for search, menu, and set. And then we have a knob over here for navigating menus and doing jog and shuttle and other navigation features. Then over here we've got a button for turning speaker on and off. There's a little tiny speaker there, and then a button to toggle remote control features, and then a headphone output jack. So that's kind of a nice feature to actually have sound on the unit. That's not the view I wanted. There we go. That's what we're looking for. Yeah. So front panel, and then we turn around to the back panel, and starting from the left, AC power input, and then a DC power input anywhere from 10 to 14 volts. It requires up to 5 amps. That's a lot of power actually. And then we have remote in and out. Those are RS422. For deck control. That's a standard that's been around for decades. So if you wanted to control this from a professional deck, you could. An Ethernet jack, and that's gigabit Ethernet. a USB-C for connecting an external disk, so you can either record to SD cards or to an external SSD via the USB-C connection there. I have a monitor output, and I'll hook that up and let you guys see what's on there. Reference in and out, that's for Genlock or tri-level sync, for making sure that the playback of the unit is in sync with your switcher. That's only useful for playback. It doesn't do anything for recording. Time code in and out, which is new on these. They haven't had that before. HDMI in and HDMI out, and it's very nice. It has HDMI options. You can plug this right into an HDMI device like a computer and just start recording. You don't have to go through a separate converter. And then over here we've got SDI in and then a loop out, so whatever video signal comes on the input is also looped out. So if you wanted to chain, if you have program output on a switcher and you want to chain it to a bunch of devices, you can do that. So SDI in on this and then loop out on this to the next device. So just chain from one to the next. And then above that we have SDI outputs A and B. And A and B, when you're showing most material, that's going to be the same signal on both. But if you happen to be playing back material that has a transparency layer, then the B output will be that alpha channel. So it'll be a black and white signal indicating which portions of the video should be transparent versus which should be opaque. So side of the unit, air vent, both sides. Nothing too crazy on the top or bottom. Screw mounts on the bottom, so you can put it in one of their rack shelves. So yeah. In terms of the power, it has two inputs for redundancy, or you can use just one or the other. Like for example, here in my trailer, I've got tons and tons of 12-volt power because of my solar panels, so I could actually power this directly off my 12-volt system here and take advantage of solar whenever I wanted to, if I ever wanted to do that. So yeah, so that is the physical aspects of the unit. Now, I have a HyperDeck Studio Mini Mini over here, so this is the unit that this is effectively replacing. 2 card slots, 8 buttons, so both of them have 8 buttons. These are a little bit different. The one big difference here, show both. So in this one, the menu button's over here. Over here, it's on the new one, the menu button is separate. Menu and set, so that's navigating the menu. So you basically have 6 transport controls on the old one, and then 8 plus or 7 plus an input button on the new one. So yeah, with that, let's actually plug it in and give it a video signal and see what happens. So I'll give it some power. I was going to get fancy and power it off my 12-volt, but I couldn't find my power cord handy. All right, and then we'll do video input. I'm going to plug it into the monitor out so we can see what that is. And then give it a video signal on SDI input. Looks like we've got some setup to do. First thing some of you may notice, I should probably refocus that. And see if this will refocus. I can't tell if it's super sharp. The monitor I'm looking at, it's right next to the big light, so I can't see if it's clear or not. Anyway, so one of the big things you notice is that it now has an option for a dark theme on the menu. So there we go. Yeah, it's up and running. Take a quick look at the menu. So record. We can select the input, whether HDMI or SDI. You can also do that with the input button. Choose what codec you're going to be recording in, whether it's this new one, H.264 SDI that Blackmagic has just announced, or we can do. See, I think these other ones are going to be disabled for. No, I can select it. Okay, yeah, I know there's some restrictions on what you can do in 4K, and I'm giving a 4K signal right now. So yeah, H.264 in SDI, high, medium, or low quality. Then you've got ProRes HQ, ProRes Lite, ProRes Proxy. And then DNxHR, HQX, HQXMXF, SQ, SQMXF, and a bunch of others. So, and yeah, I guess HR, LB, and LBMXF. So, I never use the DNX formats myself, but for anybody who edits in Avid, that's kind of essential. I do pretty much exclusively ProRes. So, I'm going to select ProRes here as the video signal we're going to record, and then trigger record. You can basically say you want it to automatically record when it detects a video signal, or when timecode starts running. And then additionally, I think, I don't know for sure, I think you can probably set it to record whenever it receives a stop trigger from a connected device as well. I don't see that in the menu though. Okay, monitor. So this is the monitor output. We can have that be a clean feed, or we can apply a 3D LUT. So if we wanted to see what the video signal would look like after coloring, we can load a LUT into the device. All right. Audio. You can record. You can choose how many channels you want to record. It's either PCM or AAC. AAC if you're recording in MPEG-4. Monitor channels will just let you determine which channels of audio you're monitoring. You can choose the type of audio meters and the level, and then you can set headphone level and speaker level as well. In terms of storage, say no card. Let me pop a card in there. All right, there we go. So media 1, yeah. So basically, and here it looks like you choose which media formats you want, or which media devices you want to record on. And the USB spill, I believe, lets you spill over onto a USB device when the SD cards are full. Setup, you can give it a name, set the date, time. You can choose between the light and dark appearance. So there's light and then there's dark. Give it a label for camera A, and then you can set some parameters for connecting to the network. Okay, and then for a little further down, time code. You can use the time code from the video input, or external, or internal, or regenerate from the last clip. So whatever the ending time code on the prior clip was, it'll pick up right after that. Drop frame, you can either specify this drop frame, non-drop frame, or use the default, whichever coming in on the input. And then you can set a preset for internal time code. The output time code you can choose from timeline or for a clip. So if you had a timeline of multiple clips, you could have a contiguous time code from beginning to end, or output time code for each individual clip. On the SDI output, you can choose level A or level B. Go back into there. Where did I find that? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I'm going to do level B because that's what most of my equipment uses. Gen lock, reference source, you can do auto input or external. That's so nice, yeah. And then set some timings with regard to that. Go back and watch my gen lock video I did last week for more information on that. File settings, you can put the timestamp file suffix on there, HDR format. Yeah, so a lot of stuff here. I'm going to turn remote on, deck control on, and there we go. All right, so hit record. There we go, and it's now recording. On this card, it looks like it's going to record in ProRes for 28 minutes and 30 seconds. All right, with that said, I'm going to flip over to the monitor output view. So there we go. So this is what's coming out of the monitor jack on the back. And you've got some status information that's on there, so you can see better what's going on a bigger screen if you want to. You don't have to use that. I mean, if I could disconnect that and plug into the SDI loop or into one of the outputs and then to get a clean feed, or go into the menu and turn the clean feed option on for the monitor output. That way you could have multiple outputs going on at the same time. One thing I should mention about the monitor output, from what I understand, this only does 1080p. So yeah. All right, now that I got a little bit of a clip recorded, flip back over. So stop, and then I'm going to hit play. That'll play back the clip that I just did. And what I can do is hit search, and then navigate a frame at a time. See if I hit search again. It lets me navigate, looks like 1 second at a time. And search one more time, and then that controls the playback speed. It has way more options than prior units that I've used. So speeds up to 50 times, whereas the previous one was only able to go up to 16 times. In terms of the slower speeds, there's quarter, there's half, 3/4. I think the old one would do a third too, if I remember right. But yeah, you can play back 1 times, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Several options up to 50 times. So yeah, you can use it for slow motion playback. These would not make great slow motion devices because you can't play and record at the same time. So if you were to play back a slow motion clip anything that was happening while you were playing back, you would not have a recording of it. You'd lose it. So not ideal there. All right. If I press and, oh, there we go. So press and hold the speaker button in order to increase the volume there. Oh, that takes a lot of rotations to get that number to come up. Okay, double tap to lock it on, or just brief tap to listen in. I'm not hearing anything on there, but the audio would have been recorded on here is coming from camera, and it would be very quiet because it's so far away from me. So, yeah, there we go, locked on. So, yeah. So input cycle between SDI and HDMI. I don't have an HDMI source hooked up right now, obviously. I go back to SDI. So, there we go. Yeah. That is the device. So at this point, if you guys have any questions, you can leave those in the chat, and I will do my best to try and answer. But again, I do have to be done here in about 13 minutes, so I'll have to keep it kind of short. So see if anybody has. I know I can see people are chatting amongst one another in the chat there. Do I think it will be a loud device? Let me see. I don't hear anything at all, actually. I don't hear a fan in there at all. It's tough for me to be 100% sure because I got my air conditioning going, and that's kind of loud. But I don't hear any sound coming out of it at all. So that actually makes it a little bit quieter because the Studio Mini, HyperDeck Studio Mini, does have a fan that runs all the time. So I think this might actually be quieter. Let's see. Do the buttons feel solid or cheapish? They're pretty good. Yeah. Yeah. These are definitely a huge improvement over the old ones. So, and they light up, so you'd be able to see them. It's hard to see in the light. There you go. So yeah, they light up, so you can see them easily at a distance. Hit record. There we go. So that's recording. So you can see what's going on. Yeah. Okay. As always, they do not supply any cables, even power. Yeah, that's standard for Blackmagic. I think they do that so they don't have to have different versions for different regions of the world. Let's see, Eric, and this is kind of unrelated, but I watched the live stream of your Dante recordings and you sounded unhappy about the 24-strand fiber. Are you disappointed about this? I'm literally planning on ordering tonight. Thanks in advance. So the problem with my 24-strand fiber is not that the fiber itself is a problem, but the connectors on the ends, the IP67 connectors that fs.com uses, are very cheaply made, and I wouldn't use those. If I was to do it over again, I would just get standard MTP or budget for optical con MTP 24, even though that's going to double the price of your cable. If you want something that's robust and rugged and it's going to stand up, I think that's going to be a better option. But if you can take care of the MTP connectors on your own, like always remember to put the dust boots on, then standard MTP is probably going to be all right. You also want to make sure you're not getting in situations where where it can get wet or dusty. So, yeah. It'd be nice. It'd be great if you could record two of the most widely used codecs in broadcast, AVC Intra and XD-Cam. Well, yeah. But ProRes is pretty darn good, as is DNX HD, so, yeah. Okay, thoughts on button feel? I just covered that a second ago. I wonder if the monitor output will introduce a nice playback interface. It seems pretty basic. It's just kind of a display, status display, let you see what's going on. And I can see a little bit of a lag on there too. As I'm talking, my voice is not lining up very well as compared to direct from the camera. Now it's time to open up the thing and look inside. I'll have to save that for another video. Okay, Byron, are you going to review the Representative 4K anytime soon? I have one on order. As soon as I get it, I'll do I'll do a review on it. Although I think that review is probably going to be very short because I'd already did one on the Web Presenter HD, and this other one is going to be essentially the same thing, just with 4K capability. So, yeah. Joel, will you be getting the new 1U HyperDecks? Right now, I'm not planning on it. I like having a lot of recorders versus bigger recorders that can use SSDs. So I've been getting these smaller units pretty much exclusively for a while. But I do have one of their older HyperDeck Studio Pros, the 4K one. I have one of those. The main reason I have that one is because it has audio inputs and outputs that are separate from the video connections. So if I need to pipe in a different audio signal, like for example a second language, if we're doing bilingual broadcast and want to record that, it's really easy to just pop that in there. It's also great for playback too, because I get the XLR audio outputs that I can run directly into my Dante system. When I use these for playback, I have to go from I add an HDMI adapter that has audio output on it. That's how I'm able to get audio out of these. But then it's not balanced, and I've got an extra piece of equipment that I typically have to supply power for, and connections and cables and all that kind of stuff. So that's one of the big downsides of all these new recorders. None of them have audio outputs on them. So their older one, the old Pro did, but the new Pro model does not. So they've actually reduced the functionality a little bit. So, Josh, what do you think about the price change of the Ursa Mini Pro 12K? So, those who missed it, Blackmagic announced today that they've dropped the price on the Ursa Mini Pro 12K to $5,995, so $6,000. For people who need that kind of resolution, that's a great deal. Those of us who are shooting live, that camera is not really a very good choice. It doesn't have a lot of the Blackmagic remote control capabilities that the rest of their cameras do, so it isn't going to fit in as well in a live production compared to their other cameras. So, yeah. All right, Dame, I just find the really nice transport controls for something that you basically just record on weird. Well, not everybody is just hitting record. You know, these can be used for playback. I use these for playback a lot. So having nice buttons you can use to navigate between clips is quite handy. I've got one client. That's all he hires me for, is doing video playback. And so I grabbed this HyperDeck Studio Mini, pop in a card with the video clips, and do playback. Although I have gotten to the point now where I'm using ATEM software control to do playback, so I can see the clips by name from there. That makes that a little bit easier. But yeah, so I use the HyperDecks quite a bit just for video playback. So, FPG Live asking, got time to try the USB-C port for external recording? If I had a suitable drive handy, I would, but I don't. I don't think I have any SSDs in easy reach. So it's going to work just like the SD cards. So you just got to make sure you have an SSD that's fast enough. You're going to test that ahead of time. Make sure that you're not going to run into drop frames or otherwise damage recording. So. All right. FBG Live, is the new one able to be PoE like the older Mini? Let's see if it says. It doesn't specifically say on there. I could find out though. This one does. The old one does say PoE. So we'll try it out. Let me stop recording here. Considering that this draws 50 watt or almost 60 watts on the 12 volt line, I'm kind of skeptical that it will do PoE power, but we'll see. Yeah, looks like it doesn't. It died. So no PoE power on this one. And now I just dropped the power cord. Yeah, no PoE on this one. So that's a nice feature of the other ones. I've actually used that a fair amount. In my equipment rack here in the trailer, several of my HyperDecks are being powered over PoE. So, all right, Birds of Ray, what kind of sound gate are you using to mitigate your AC? I'm not, actually. I think there's probably a gate on the input of the mixer, but the biggest thing I'm doing is using a microphone. This is a Heil PR40 that has incredible off-axis rejection. So very little of the sound of the AC is actually getting into the mic in the first place. But I think there is probably a gate on the mixer. I haven't checked. So, Sportflow, hope we can review more products soon. Well, I'll review any product that I can get my hands on and actually put through its paces. I get companies offering to send me products for free all the time. In most cases, I don't even bother to reply because they're products that I can't really use as part of my workflow. I don't want to spend a ton of time going out of my way to test a product if I can't use it as a part of working for one of my paying clients. So if I can fit it in, substitute it in for another piece of equipment, or in addition to the equipment that I normally use for when I'm shooting for a client, then yeah, I would certainly do that. The other problem is there are a lot of companies that I don't have a relationship with, and so they're not willing to offer products to me either on loan or at a discount or free. So I pretty much have to buy everything that I'm going to be reviewing. There's a handful of exceptions, like the Hollyland intercom systems that I did reviews on. They provided those to me. I did get some stuff from Cinegears a couple years ago, but everything else that I've done reviews on is stuff that I've actually bought. And a lot of that, or most if not all of that money for that, becomes from viewers here on this channel. So if you want more reviews on stuff, you can join the channel as a paying member or go into Patreon. So that money really does go into products for review on here on the channel. So that's how this was paid for. So I will probably use this at least somewhat in part of my productions. But right now I have all the recorders that I need here in the trailer, so this is something I may not necessarily need a lot. I'll keep it around just in case, but for the most part this is something that I don't have to have. And so I couldn't justify paying for it out of my own money, so I'm using the money from paying subscribers here on the channel in order to cover that. So, all right. Okay, text specs show up to 100 watts usage. Okay, yeah, good to know. Yeah, you're not going to do that on PoE Plus. PoE Plus you might get away with, but regular PoE Plus, no. Ricardo, is this the same OB truck you built a few years back? Yeah, that's the only video trailer I've ever had. I do have another trailer. I never talk about it, but I do have another trailer that's for audio and lighting. So whenever I'm doing an event, which is where I need audio and lighting, I use my other trailer. But yeah, this is the OB truck that I built a few years ago. So, what should I buy for audio around $100 for my sport live streams? Well, in terms of what? I mean, there's a lot of audio equipment. You need a mixer. You need some microphones. You probably want a good set of monitors to hear what's going on. That could be a good set of headphones. Yeah, kind of have to be a little bit more specific about what you're looking for. All right, what did I miss? Did I miss any other? A drop test. I think I won't be. I think I'll be passing on that. Quick tech. I see you have the HyperDeck Studio Mini on the desk just under your mic. Did you replace the fan? No, it's just a really directional mic. So, yeah, it rejects noise, outside noise, really well. Looks like we got people answering some of the questions for me. So, all right. Okay. So I really do have to go. I quite literally have a meeting starting in less than 2 minutes. So anyway, thanks everyone for watching. I will be doing a more full review of this at some point in the future after I've had a chance to put it through its paces. There's some real events and not just a quick unboxing and plug it in kind of thing. So stay tuned for that. It's probably going to take a few weeks so that I actually do have a chance to use it for real events with real paying clients and kind of get a feel for what it's like in that kind of environment. So I suspect it's going to go pretty well. I'm pretty happy with what they've done with this. It's nice that they've expanded on the capabilities of the old HyperDeck Studio Mini. Some additional controls and monitor output's very cool. The SDI video loop through, I asked for that when I did the review of this, and maybe they were listening to me, who knows. But lots of cool little upgrades on here. One little point of clarification, that there seems to be some misinformation out there about the Ethernet on the old HyperDeck Studio Minis. A lot of people were saying that's 100 megabit. No, it is gigabit. So the older one, if you need a gigabit, you can pick up on the older ones and use FTP to transfer files back and forth between the recorder and the computer. I've done that many times. It does transfer at gigabit speeds. So yeah, just want to make sure that it gets clarified a little bit. So anyway, thanks for everyone who tuned in to watch, and we'll catch you on another event here sometime in the future. So Talk to you later.